Michael Myers really likes to kill people in public bathroom stalls.
Mm-hmm. It was all prep work for this.
Exactly. It was just not a waste of my youth.
Not at all.
Part 5. Part 4?
Part not very good. It was like staring into the abyss of hell.
Yeah, it was.
And the smell was equally bad, if not worse. Well, just fair warning up front, this podcast is going to go in the crapper really, really quickly. But that's okay. That's how we've designed it. Well, that's how you've designed it.
That's true.
Welcome. This is the Fright Club podcast, and she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from maddwolf.com, MADDWOLF. And yeah, it's all about toilet horror.
It is.
This week. And of all the niche subjects, the niche categories, this is pretty niche. And how did this come up? How did this come to your brain?
Well, if you're worried, I mentioned to Kat McAlpine, who writes for us on maddwolf.com, that this was going to be our topic. And she goes, oh, I knew it was going to happen. You've run out of topics. Not at all.
No.
We have literally hundreds.
Contraire, mon frère.
That's right. It's just that, every once in some of them are just super niche. So I'll watch a movie, any movie, every movie, and it'll just occur to me. I'll think to myself, eye gouging. Well, I haven't done one on eye gouging yet. Hippies. Haven't done one on hippies yet. It just happens all the time.
Well, and honestly, I seem to notice that it also happens a lot while we're eating at Subway.
Yes.
You get the napkin and start scribbling on it. When genius hits, it can't be denied.
That's right. So it just occurred to me, actually, I was asked to speak at a panel on the sort of distribution, I guess, of A Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Oh, yeah. Elm Street Radio.
Yeah, Elm Street Radio.
Yeah, that was very cool. Yeah, that was very cool.
And there is part of it, one of the characters dies on the toilet. He just falls asleep in a stall and dies on the toilet. So it's the same thing where I just sat there and I thought to myself, I can come up with 5. And I did. Right off there's a ton of movies where people die on the toilet. A ton. And we're specifying toilet, not bathroom. Because there's bathtubs, there's showers. I could do a whole thing on a bathtub, and obviously the shower.
And maybe we will.
Maybe we will.
Yeah, but okay.
But today it's just a toilet.
Today it's just a toilet. And right off the top, a few famous people that have died on the toilet. Elvis, you probably know of.
Sure.
Elvis was found on the toilet. Also, Judy Garland.
Well, I think he was found off the toilet, but
okay.
It probably happened on the toilet.
Yeah, Judy Garland.
I did not know that.
Same deal. Producer Don Simpson of Jerry Bruckheimer and Don Simpson.
Wow.
He also on the toilet. And Lenny Bruce.
Wow.
Yeah, and also lots of, in the Google search that I did, a lot of old kings and aristocrats.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You are going to get some really weird, online recommendations now. Google
because
searching
I searched
down
on there?
the toilet.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
Weirdo. All right. So, well, we have to say thank you, first off, to the great crowd. We had another great crowd.
We did.
At the Gateway Film Center, where we do once a month, we do Fright Club Live in front of the live audience. Always a great time. Start with a little happy hour. I try to get you to not drink too many beers. And then we tape the podcast and watch a movie. And we did Dare Samurai.
That's right, because senior German correspondent John Dean, he took German in high school, and he told me, I know how to pronounce the. All right, okay.
And it was one that I was a little, not very afraid, I just didn't know. I was a little uncertain as to the turnout, but I was very pleasantly surprised.
Well, yeah, we had a nice crowd. They were very into it, and I think they all liked it.
I think they did, too. So that was a lot of fun. So we look forward to the next Fright Club Live, the October version, which is coming up here very soon, October the 10th.
Yes. And we are going to show, we're going to talk about mutant animals, and we're going to show Black Sheep.
Black Sheep.
Just for you, because you love this movie so much, and it made you laugh so hard. It was really fun to watch with you.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch with a crowd.
It is, with a crowd, it is. I'm very excited to watch it with that crowd.
As we've said before, you like to vary it up, something maybe a little hard to watch, something like that. Now we're going fun.
Yeah.
And this is fun. This is so funny, man. I didn't even expect to watch it that night that you had it. And I looked at this and I just, okay, I'm in. I'm in with this. So that'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, October 10th, Gateway Film Center, Columbus, Ohio. Make it if you can. And wow, there's a lot on our calendar.
We'll get into it later, but basically celebrating October is what we do. I mean, it's like tax season for us, right?
It's like our Christmas, our tax season.
But we are basically going to have I think we have a podcast a week.
Yeah, there's a lot of special events coming up, a lot of good stuff. We're very excited, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. But we don't want to put off too long getting to the crappy topic at hand, and that is horror deaths on the toilet. So you've kind of run over the, where your headspace as you got into this. But any rules? Well, you already said one. It has to be on the toilet. It has to be the toilet.
Yep, it's got to be the toilet. So not just the bathroom. This is a weird topic. It really is. So I apologize. But no, that was really the only rule, that you have to die on the toilet or in the stall, I suppose. It has to be toilet related.
Commode
Related.
I remember when I was a kid finding out another name for the toilet was the commode, and I thought that was hilarious. I thought commode was a funny word. It just sounds funny.
It is a funny word.
Because most people don't use it.
No, I don't think. I think right now is probably the first time I've heard it in 25 years.
One of those words that you would say over and over, and it's still funny, commode. So, all right, I'm getting off topic. Well, not really. Not really, topic. No. I'm still on the topic. But people are going, why are you still saying commode? Oh, I said it would go in the crapper quickly, and it has. All right.
There actually are. I mean, there are enough of these that there are a lot that aren't on here. And some of them are somewhat iconic. The first one I thought of, actually, because I think it's the first one I remember seeing and being bothered by it, like, oh, leave the lady alone, is Psycho 2. Norman Bates kills a woman while she's on the toilet. Yeah. And she's first of all, she's like the nicest person staying at the motel right then. Like, she's super nice. And also she's like, hey, sister, can I get a minute? She's like so polite the whole time.
Can you spare a square?
I know. She's like, and then the next thing you know, her throat is slashed. I was sad about it.
And also in the trailer for the new Halloween, he attacks somebody.
Oh, well, that's the stall thing. So just in case there are no Halloweens on the list, but Michael Myers really likes to kill people in public bathroom stalls. Mm-hmm. There are so many Halloween and either the original series or the Rob Zombie remakes. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of people who either get killed in the public restroom or get almost killed and for some reason, he lets you live when you're in the public restroom. And then there's number 6, where they hide a baby in this nasty stuff. Anyway.
Maybe, Dr. Loomis should have delved that problem with his psyche.
I think so. That was clearly pretty Freudian.
Solved the whole thing.
Could have solved everything. But there were so many, and none of them were like better than the others. And I'm like, well, nah, we're not gonna. So anyway, none of those. But there are like probably 5.
Yeah.
He probably kills somebody in a public restroom 5 times.
We did say we got a big October coming up. Well, we do want to give a mention that just this past weekend we saw Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller on the big screen in IMAX 3D. They're showing it at the beginning of The House with the Clock in Its Walls.
Yeah.
And we had already seen the movie.
Right,
but we went back
it.
and paid the whole price
just to watch
see Thriller. And it was a hoot.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
It was so much fun.
I know it's a limited release. I don't know if they've stopped doing it already. You might want to check or call your theater, but it was worth it. I mean, that was such for people, quote, of a certain age, and he's doing these air quotes. That was such a cultural touchstone, you know?
My God.
And to see it on the big screen and IMAX 3D, it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun.
It was super fun. Yeah. That's exactly what it was. It was so fun. And he's sitting there like all smiling and eating popcorn, and you were scared.
What's
he says,
the problem?
God, he was so cute. He was so cute. And then when he turned into a zombie, I know I've said it before, was like my first crush was zombie Michael Jackson. Oh my God.
That says a lot.
It was just fun.
Says a lot. Okay. So you want to get into it then?
Yeah.
Number 5 with the crapper horror takes us back to 1997. 2 years after the first series of murders, a new psychopath dons the ghost-faced costume and a new string of killings begins. And the first one is in the toilet. It's Scream 2.
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, that's a fun one. And eventually we will probably do a whole podcast on people who get killed watching movies. That's surely going to happen.
Yeah.
And there are actually, it's funny because there's also a movie bad movie called Incubus, where she's basically watching what amounts to an extended Spinal Tap video. Like, it's a movie, apparently, and they keep showing it, but it's really just a Spinal Tap. It's so awful, and she goes to the bathroom, and somebody kills her. A monster comes and kills her, but it's not worth seeing. But the point is, it's fun that there are two movies where people leave the theater to go to the bathroom.
Right. And this one is Omar Epps playing Phil. And the thing about it is, I'm going to tell this story.
Yes.
His character leaves. His date is Jada Pinkett Smith. And when we saw this in the theater, of course, if you remember, right before he goes to the bathroom to meet his demise, she's asking him to get all these candies and all these treats. And he says something about, do you have any money? And she says, yeah, but I'm going to spend your money or something like that. And when we were watching it, the theater was full. And the guy right beside us just screamed at the screen, "That's how it is!" We're like, oh, okay. Is this one of those screenings? But actually, it kind of is, because that's a fun movie to kind of yell back at the screen.
There was a lot of people yelling at the screen throughout.
Yeah, so he goes to the bathroom.
Phil.
Yeah, and then he hears the noises in the other stall, and then gets the knife through the wall.
Yeah.
What's that wall made of? Plywood?
I don't think they're pretty flimsy, I think, bathroom stalls. But yeah, the whole scene is actually pretty good, because they're giving out the costumes, the Scream costumes at the theater, where they're showing Stab, which is inside the Scream universe. It's the movie they made of the murders.
Which, by the way, was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Nice.
The Stab parts.
Nice.
Yeah, movie in a movie. But yeah.
So it's fun because everybody at the theater is anonymous and dressed like the killer, so that's always fun. And so he goes into the bathroom, and the urinals are very taken up with people who are dressed in this costume. So he tries to get in one stall. There's somebody in there dressed in this costume. So he goes to the next stall, and then he hears this weird whispering. And he's like making a face like, the fuck, man? And he gets over, and he's leaning up against it. So it's actually, it is a really well put together scene.
Yeah.
And it introduces a character that, just like in the first Scream, the only really famous people are going to die in their opening sequence, just like they did in the original. And so you knew that he wasn't long for this world. Right. But it was, I think that he and then Wes Craven, who directed it, did a nice job of actually establishing a character.
They did. Yeah. And it starts with, him getting shaken down for the money, the candy money by his date. But yeah, it is cool because, like you said, that he goes in there and everybody's dressed up. Yeah. So, he doesn't think anything of it.
No.
He has no idea to think he'd be in danger because, as you said, everybody is in costume.
Yeah.
It's one of the many just ingenious things in a lot of this franchise, certainly in 1 and 2. The fun they have with sequels and the rules of sequels, just a lot of fun and really cleverly done. It's writer Kevin Williamson,
who wrote the first.
Yeah, and who we've mentioned many times and given props to many times. And he really does deserve it because it helped to just breathe new life into movies like this.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely did. Scream was a turning point because the 90s was not a good time for horror.
Right.
And Scream was a big turning point.
Yeah, and just another case where Wes Craven was right there, kind of getting his finger on the pulse.
That's the thing. He did it in the 70s.
Yeah.
He did it in the 80s, and he did it in the 90s. He just changed the trajectory of horror.
Really amazing. So Scream 2, the opening bathroom scene, is number 5 on our Crapper Horror list. Moving up to number 4, 2009. Speaking of rules, this is a shy student trying to reach his family in, where? Ohio. A gun-toting tough guy trying to find the last Twinkie, and a pair of sisters trying to get to an amusement park join forces to travel across a zombie-filled America, Zombieland.
It wasn't long before the zombies began to get clever. When you're at your most vulnerable, somehow they could just smell it.
Can't a guy take a dubber in peace?
Don't let them catch you with your pants down. Rule number 3, beware of bathrooms.
Well, let's not bury the lead with this. You told me they are right now, as we speak, working on part 2.
Yes,
I want to believe you.
Yep. No, it's true. I think that there was a lot of stop and start with this, but Ruben Fleischer, who directed the first one, directed Venom, so he can do anything he wants to now. We're
going to see Venom here in just a few days.
Yeah, we are.
Hopefully it's good, but. Yeah, this was so much fun.
Everything about it. God, I love this movie.
I'd be so all in on a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've heard now for a few years that they're going to get back together.
Yeah.
The whole cast, Well, not Bill Murray,
No.
I guess. But spoiler! I'm sorry. Yeah, it was such a hoot. I would love to see that happen. Really love to see that happen. So let's talk about the bathroom death. It's a face, a name that film goers, we certainly know.
Oh, yeah, Mike White.
Mike White.
Mike White. And if you don't know the name, you probably do know the face. I mean, he usually plays just a pent-up nerd in anything, but he's mainly a writer and a very good writer. And he's written a lot of great TV shows. He's written a lot of great movies.
School of Rock.
School of Rock being the big one. He's also in School of Rock.
He's the real Ned Schneebly.
That's right, he is.
Yeah. Go ahead. So he's on the toilet here, and this death is when Columbus,
Jesse Eisenberg
is explaining the rules.
The rules. And that's one of the most clever things about this movie because they're all really true. They're really, really true, and you wouldn't think about them until the zombie apocalypse comes upon you. But yes, cardio. Get your cardio. Because you know what? Zombies don't tire out.
And double tap. You got to double tap.
Oh, my God. Of course you do.
Don't turn your back.
No. And beware the bathroom.
That's right.
And it's such a funny scene, and it's just one of those very quick scenes, just like all of those others where he's explaining the rules are very, very quick scenes where, Mike White is just enjoying a moment and complains loudly and bitterly when the moment is disturbed. And then, of course, it turns out that person is not polite and is not going to go away, is in fact a reanimated corpse and is about to eat him.
Well, and also you'll notice as the film goes along that Mike White is also the guy that the two sisters do the ring scam on.
Yep, Con's at a bathroom.
Yeah. So he had a bad day.
It didn't start well. It didn't end well.
No, it didn't. And this movie interestingly, came out of it was supposed to be a TV series,
right,
where every week was a new zombie kill of the week.
Yeah, which has been clever. But I mean, I love the way they work all of that in to this film. I mean, I have a very, very few minor bones to pick with this movie. One is that I don't understand how the two sisters are named Wichita and Little Rock because those are two different cities, and obviously every character is named for the city they came from. So I don't understand that. But the other thing I don't understand is who thinks it's a good idea to go to an amusement park and turn on all the lights when you're trying to hide from zombies? No one does. But still, it's so worth it. That scene where Woody Harrelson comes out of that kiosk and just kills it, that is the best. It's like my favorite action movie scene ever.
It's great. He buckles down. It's interesting you brought up the names of the towns because, well, obviously, since we're in Columbus, we got a kick out of that. But most of the names were not the movie names. They were different names in the original script. Wichita was the only one that was the original name. Columbus was actually first called Flagstaff. Tallahassee was originally Albuquerque, and Little Rock was originally Stillwater. So
I wonder what made them change that around. Tallahassee really fits.
Kind of fits him.
Yeah, that's a good name for him. And of course, we like Columbus because we're from here.
And it gave him the opportunity to make that Cleveland Browns joke in the toilet.
You love that.
Yeah, so there's just so much that's fun about this whole movie, and this is perfect for this countdown because I think at the beginning, before he gets killed in the bathroom, he says, "Can't somebody take a crap or something like that in peace?" And what was he doing? He was letting his guard down.
That's what he was doing,
which was a perfect example of the rule. Don't do that.
No, beware the bathroom.
Beware the bathroom. Yeah,
that's a good title for our whole podcast.
It is, and it is. I really hope that that's true about the sequel because it's long overdue. As obviously it's been many a year. It's been almost 10 years now.
That's crazy.
So
God.
Remember, we were in charge. It's one of the when our son was a senior in high school. They try to get all the parents involved doing things, and Hope is notorious for not getting involved.
I don't like children.
But we were in charge of doing this graduation night event. So we set up a screening of this movie. And all the kids came, and they got to, before we screened the movie, they got to play a video game for a little bit on the big screen.
It was one of the Zombie Killers video games, and it was, on the big screen.
I think all the kids, we like to fool ourselves that we were cool parents. But
we know we weren't.
I think all the kids liked it.
Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
Only one, we had, everybody but one student came to the event.
Yeah.
And
it was a small class.
It was.
A small graduating class. But I think it went over pretty well.
Yeah, I think so, too.
It's just fun.
The movie was a few years old by that point.
Yeah.
I'm only pointing that out because if it were a first run, it would have been way too expensive for us to get.
No, that was 2011, so it would have been a couple years old.
Yeah, it was a few years old, and somebody lent us the video game because, again, we don't have things like that. But it went really well. It was super fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So that is number 4, Zombieland, in our Beware the Bathroom, since now that's
right.
the new title. Countdown. Moving up to number 3, this is a favorite. The Ghoulies wreak havoc at an amusement park, disposing of those who mistake them for mere fairground attractions from 1988. Ghoulies 2.
It's not your fault. You had nothing to do with it.
So this movie just sucks. It's so bad.
But it's perfect for this countdown because if you remember, the tagline was just when you thought it was safe to go back to the bathroom.
That's right. That's right. And and the poster was the little monster sticking out of the toilet bowl.
Yes.
So even though, the movie is no good, it doesn't just kind of turn on the one scene where the I think he's the amusement park owner or the manager, whatever he is. He's the guy who's in charge, who keeps pretending to himself and his staff that these little monsters that everybody's coming to see, they're not responsible for these corpses because just because they all happen at the same time, whoever knew of monsters to kill people? Anyway.
Well, now let me, since you picked a nit, let me pick a nit with this death because he's talking into the mirror, in the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's not real or whatever he's saying. And then the camera shifts to the ghoulie coming out of the bowl, okay?
Yes.
Looking around, surveying the landscape, and then going back in the bowl. And then he comes over to go to the bathroom, and he lifts up the seat, but makes it a point not to look down at the seat. He's like, no, it looked incredibly unnatural, like I'm going to purposely ignore what might be in the bowl because we just saw that monster was in the bowl. But it all really is perfectly in line with the ridiculousness of this movie.
I mean, that's a really important piece of information. Given
the internal logic.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm against the internal logic.
It's such. I mean, the original was bad. The original was just a bad ripoff of Gremlins.
Yeah.
And then of course, a year later, Critters ccame out, which was just a bad ripoff of Gremlins, but it was better than Ghoulies. These movies are just terrible, and this one is no different. It's funny though. It was directed by Albert Band, who directed I Bury the Living, which was one of the movies that we talked about with Phantom Dark Dave on our best of the 50s. That was one of Dave's picks, not ours, but it is a really interesting movie. And then he quickly directed Dracula's Dog, which is one of the worst piece of shit films I've ever seen. So it made perfect sense then that he would go on to do Ghoulies 2.
Well, we can't. The one thing that looking back at the clips and looking back at this movie and remembering these little critters, these are the ghoulies.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of Cheddar Goblin. I mean, anybody that's seen Mandy, Cheddar Goblin is taking over.
Yeah. He's on Twitter. You can follow him. We do.
Yeah. But can't you see the resemblance
Yes,
there a little
absolutely,
bit? As soon
absolutely.
as I was going back and looking at the clips from this movie, I'm like, oh, what's Cheddar Goblin?
Yeah.
I like Cheddar Goblin better, though.
Well, because he
I
brings
have
you
to
mac
say.
and cheese.
He does. He kind of vomits it on you, but all right, there it is. But yeah, you're right. This movie's bad, and this was actually the only. How many sequels to Ghoulies have there been?
I know I've seen a total of 3, so I don't know how many more they had. This is the second one.
Yeah, but this is the only one that actually got a theatrical release.
Okay.
The rest, I believe, went straight to video.
I'm sure I saw all of them on HBO as a kid, so I don't know. I was spending the night up the road and watching scary movies.
Yeah, it was all prep work for this.
Exactly. It was just not a waste of my youth.
Not at all. So that's Ghoulies 2. Not a good movie, but a good bit of bathroom horror. Number 4 on our list. No, it's number 3, actually, from 1988. So moving it up to number 2, and this one has an interesting bit of local kind of personal connection, and we'll get into that in a second. This is the story of a liquor store owner selling alcoholic beverages to homeless people, unaware of what the bottles actually contain, a toxic brew. It's street trash.
I want to start by pointing out that this film won an international award at the Brussels International Film Festival.
Really?
That's stunning.
Wow.
I know.
Brussels. What was going on over there?
I don't know. It's hard to believe. But anyway.
Usually we give big props to Belgian horror.
Yeah.
And they were asleep at the switch that day.
Yeah, they saw something I didn't. I mean, there's something very envelope pushing about this, and so bare bones, so low rent and low class. But yeah, the I used to work for a long time with a guy named Mike Lackey, which is also coincidentally the name of the lead actor in this film. And I never met Mike Lackey in person. I'm based in Columbus. He was based in New Jersey, but we had phone calls all the time. And finally, I just asked him, I'm like, "Are you the Mike Lackey from Street Trash?" And there was this long pause, and he goes, "I can neither confirm nor deny." And I was like, "You are!" So as far as I know, I used to work with the lead, who is smart enough not to drink the Tenafly Viper.
Right.
Which is what, the whole movie is based on. Actually, I mean, the most interesting part of the movie takes place at this junkyard. And some of the more disturbing moments and some of the more sort of morally questionable, cinematically speaking moments, they all happen at the junkyard. But there's also this plot about all these dead bodies, all these dead bums, because there's a store and the guy who owns the store finds this like 60-year-old crate of wine or some sort of liquor down the basement, and he just starts selling it to the winos. So the winos drink it and they die, but they sort of do this Technicolor melt kind of a thing,
it's quite
right?
colorful.
It is very colorful.
Yeah.
Who knew we had that many colors inside us?
Yeah.
And then the best version of that is guy, and it's funny because it's an outdoor toilet. I mean, it's not an outhouse. It's just a porcelain toilet, like in a rumbled building, and he just has a seat.
Right.
Just takes a load off. He just has a seat, and then he starts drinking this. He melts. He gets all blubbery, bubbly.
Green and blue and yellow.
He melts into the toilet, comes back out, melts back in. And it's sort of, Ark of the Covenant-ish. It's that kind of a thing. If that Nazi had been sitting on a toilet when it all happened.
Right. Very much so. Yeah, it's... Bare bones is right about this movie.
It's a trauma film, and they didn't make it. They distributed it. So it's a film that's bad enough that somebody else made, and Trauma goes, yeah, we can put that out.
Well, you know what some of it reminded me of in tone was some of that early Harmony Korine stuff.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Gummo or Trash Humpers.
That's exactly what I always thought as well.
Yeah, it's just so guerrilla.
Yeah.
And and like, what are these people doing? But you're right, the colorful deaths, and especially this toilet one, and here's the thing about it. The guy, before he starts disintegrating, or while he's disintegrating, it has one of those pull flushes.
Yes.
With one of those handles that hang down. And he keeps reaching up there, and I'm just thinking he's going to flush himself. Or I know what he's trying to do is get some leverage.
Right.
Yeah, but by the time he's just turning into sludge, I'm like, he's going to pull it, and then he's going to...
You're worried for him.
There's some tension there. There's some real narrative tension. But yeah, this is a really it's not a good movie, but it's cool that Mike Lackey is your buddy. But you mentioned.
Now, I can't say I dislike this movie. I mean, I would watch this 50 times before I watch Critters 2 again. I do.
Ghoulies 2.
Sorry, Ghoulies 2.
Yeah.
Critters 3, that's the one to watch because DiCaprio's in it. I don't dislike Street Trash. I don't. But it's not a good film.
A production assistant on this movie, Brian Singer.
Shut up.
Yeah, he was a production assistant on this movie. Picked up some pointers from Street Trash with the colorful, gooey bathroom death, which clocks in at number 2.
I know it.
Woo, on our Beware the Bathroom list. So
before we get to number 1, there were just a couple that really almost nearly made it, and both of them are outhouse.
Okay.
So there's in Dead Snow, there's an outhouse.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it's a good one. And then also in Friday the 13th, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, part 5, part 4,
part not very good.
I'm trying to do the math in my head. It's the one that Jason's not really Jason; it's the guy's dad. So yeah, part 5. Sorry.
Okay.
Anyway, he's kind of a punk rock guy, and he's singing doo-wop to his lady in the toilet in an outhouse. It's the weirdest scene ever, and he gets it in the outhouse. So anyway, I eliminated those two. And
I forgot about Dead Snow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Okay. Actually, before we get to number 1, should we run over our October calendar?
All right.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
So much going on.
Oh, my Lord.
And first of all, we've talked about it many times. Nightmares Film Festival.
Come,
Columbus,
do it.
Ohio, Gateway Film Center. They just released all the films that made it, the shorts, the features, the screenplay nominees and everything, all has been released. You can find it on our website at madwolf.com and also on all the social for Nightmares. But it's so great. It's the third year now. It's just taken off every year by leaps and bounds. And not only the talent, but the community, the people you meet, the filmmakers, the writers, the fans. It's an incredible experience. We would love, love, love to have you come and seek us out. We're going to be all over the place. We're going to be there.
The whole time.
I'm practically having a cot in the basement.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. So that is coming up. We've talked about that a lot. But also, we've booked a couple of talking horror movie events at local libraries.
Yeah, so the first one is on October the 2nd, and this one will become a podcast. We are going to record this for a podcast, and it's going to be Upper Arlington Public Library, and we're going to run through the very best films of every decade, starting with the 1920s. So it's sort of a history of horror, what were the big themes of the different eras, and how one kind of morphed into the next. So that's going to be on October the 2nd. Of course, the 10th, we're back at Gateway.
Right.
For Black Sheep and Mutants. And then on the 23rd, we're at the Bexley Library. Now, this is one we're not going to record, but so you're going to have to come out.
Yeah,
come
if you're
out
in
to the Bexley
Central Ohio
Library.
area,
That's
come
right,
on
on
out.
October 23rd. And there we're going to talk about, we'll talk about the best horror films of the year so far, but we're going to also talk about the best horror films of all time. And we'll cover for families looking to celebrate. We're going to talk about some family-friendly horror films that you can watch for Halloween.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So, yeah, we got an action-packed October, as we expect to have. And it actually comes out to we're going to have a Fright Club for every week of the month, which is perfect. Usually we skip a week. We go every other week with Fright Club. But for October, it's only right.
That's right.
That we're going to do one every week.
And that leaves us at the end, Halloween week. We got your buddy, who's also a podcaster and a radio guy. He's also a stand-up comic. He's been in movies. He's produced movies.
Member of the Screen Actors Guild,
just
writer,
cool
actor.
Guy, Dino Tripodis.
Yes.
And he's going to talk with us. We're just going to talk about one movie the week of Halloween. We're going to talk about Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
And it's because we're participating in sort of this big group of podcasters who are going to spend the entire month. Each one of us is going to do a podcast on one of the Universal Monster sequels. And we got Bride of Frankenstein because I think Phantom Dark Dave organized the whole thing, and he's very nice, and he let us take Bride of Frankenstein. So thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
So the series runs through the entire month, and you can just listen to all of them. The first week is going to be the B Movie Bros, who've been on our show before, and us on them. They're going to do the Bros. They're going to do Return of the Invisible Man. Then Black Cat's Shadow. We've been on theirs. They've been on ours as well, and they are going to do Frankenstein Meets the Wolf Man the second week of October. Paranormal Pativity is going to be the third week, and they're going to do The Mummy's Hand. Then the Back in Time podcast, the week of 21st, is going to do Dracula's Daughter. I happen to know that Tom loves that movie. And then it's us. And then the last week, which is really the first week of November, Terrible Terror. And they're going to do Revenge of the Creature. So it's a big lineup. And we're excited that they included us this year.
Very excited. Very excited to be included and very excited to get together with Dino and talk about Bride of Frankenstein because we all love that movie. And we just get a really hyper focus on that one. So lots of stuff coming up in October. Hope you can be a part of summer, all of it, if you can. And that takes us up to number 1 on our Beware the Bathroom horror list, and it's part of an anthology. This comes from a 26-chapter anthology that showcases death in all its vicious wonder and brutal beauty. T for Toilet in the ABCs of Death.
Whoa, fuck me. What the fuck? Call the plumber now. It's an emergency.
Well, this one has a bit of a local connection, too, because if you remember in the news a few years ago, a substitute teacher here in Ohio, actually in Columbus East High School, was convicted on 4 felony counts. This was back in 2015 for showing this movie to her students.
Wow, because they were underage.
Yeah.
And she didn't have consent. And what could possibly be the reason to show ABCs of horror?
She said she did not watch the movie beforehand, so that's part of it. But not a good move. But we're going to focus on T for Toilet. Because
Obviously.
it fits the subject matter here. And the interesting thing about this one is it's claymation.
It is. It is great because it's like Play-Doh claymation. I mean, it's just sloppy. It's so much fun. And it's Lee Hardcastle, who has done a million shorts, all of them very subversive, incredibly fun, all of them that stop-action claymation. He did a Simpsons couch opening one time. I mean, he's just so much fun. He sometimes sort of redoes like old action movies or old horror movies in like 1 minute claymation. Like you would love a good Clay to Die Hard.
Nice.
You know, he's just so much fun. And this particular episode, it's a little boy who doesn't want to use the toilet on his own, and he sort of has this nightmare about all the reasons why, and then his parents coaxing him to use the toilet. Right. And then, of course, in the end of the movie, he does get up to go use the toilet, and his dad hears it. He's happy, follows them in. Yeah,
wakes up mom. Hey, he's using the toilet.
Oh my God! And it's just hilarious and so wrong-headed and so ugly in the like wonderful way that it's animated. And it's the best. It's the best.
And I got to tell you, when parts of it, because the toilet turns into all sorts of weird, monstrous things.
Right, in the kid's imagination, sure.
Yeah, but then, and there's times when there's things bubbling up to the top of the bowl. And that, of course, reminded me of your dad's in the toilet. The toilet in the basement of your dad's old house. I mean, I got to tell you, people, when we got practically everybody that's connected to Hope's extended family, all the brothers-in-law and, everybody coming out, to move her dad one day. Had to do the whole thing in one day. Anyway, there's a bathroom, a toilet in the basement.
Not a bathroom, just a toilet.
A toilet in the basement of her childhood home. And let me tell you, what was in there, it was like staring into the abyss of hell.
Yeah, it was.
And the smell was equally bad, if not worse.
Well, I don't know how many details you need, but the fact is, he had not been down the basement in many years, but what he didn't realize was that the plumbing from the first floor bathroom and connected to the basement bathroom, basically nothing was going anywhere.
Right.
And it had kind of hardened into this epic mountain.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know until you put the first shovel in and sort of cracked that surface.
Yes.
And then, Jesus, we said, can we just burn the house down?
Exactly.
Can we? Is there a reason not? I couldn't think of a good reason not to just burn the house down, to be honest with you.
Once that seal was cracked, the really only solution was gasoline and a match.
Oh my God!
It was, but that I thought of that during the parts of this claymation while it was bubbling up. Although the one in this movie looked a lot more appealing than the one in your basement. Let me tell you that. But no, it's a lot of fun because you do have the fantasy sequence at the beginning.
Yeah, and then, everything the kid's afraid of.
Yeah, and then the actual happening later on. And I think it's hilarious when the dad. It's like, call a plumber. I think you need more than a plumber at this point. You need like an exorcist or something because the bathroom was freaking out. But that one is a lot of fun, and it's one of the. And anytime you have an anthology like that, there's going to be some highs and some lows.
Yeah. It's one of the highs. It's
one of the highs.
Although the first ABCs of Death, and it's 26 short movies, one for every letter of the alphabet, and a lot of. I mean, there are so many that it's hard to even recall them all, right? But it's a pretty good anthology. I enjoyed a lot of those.
And if you're interested, Lee Hardcastle, the director and animator, he went on to create the short film as a sequel. There's a short film called Ghost Burger that is a sequel to T for Toilet.
Nice.
And I guess I don't want to give away a spoiler, but something interesting happens in that one with one of the characters in this T for Toilet. So let's leave it at that.
Okay,
but you can look them both up. So that's number one on our Beware the Bathroom list. What do you think? Let us know. As always, we love to keep the conversation going about any of this so much, man. Well, I mean, but that's perfect because as we head into
October.
To October, you're right. It's our tax season if we were accountants, and we're not. But it's a lot of fun to keep the conversation going. You can always do that on Twitter. We are at Fright Club Pod on the Twitter sphere. Hit us up, and also you can find us on, of course, our main website, which is madwolf.com, and on Instagram and Facebook, we're Mad Wolf Columbus. So a lot going on. Hope you can make it if you're around the area to some of our events, or even if you're from out of town coming in for Nightmares Film Festival. Can't recommend it any higher.
Right.
We love
so much fun. So many
fun.
great movies. I mean, we were really lucky to be able to be jurors for them again this year. We saw so many movies, and we're really excited to share them with you.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. So hit us up, and until next week, we've got one, as we said, we've got one every week in the month of October. So fun stuff ahead. Keep in touch if you can. Until next time, she is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Stay frightful, my friends.